Thank you for staying with us. Insecurity in the state continues to be a nightmare for both the residents and state government. It has become a hotbed for bandits who attack schools, roads, and several communities. Despite efforts from the security agencies, the state records over 200 deaths and about 746 kidnappings in just 3 months. This was revealed by the State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruwan. Residents of the state constantly live in fear and are hoping that the security measures are heightened so things can return to normalcy. Well, joining us in the studio to discuss this issue is our security consultant, Darlington Umoru. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Morning, madam. Morning, sir. My
when
pleasure.
You saw this report, what came to mind? Because the government is reported to have put in place several measures to address this matter of insecurity in the state. Yet we still saw the record of over 200 persons killed, over 700 persons kidnapped. What do you think is going wrong here?
And several animals rustled too.
Yeah.
This is post marching order by Mr. President Buhari, which ended in December, where he charged the security agents and the military to bring down or end insecurity in Nigeria. That ended in December. Kaduna State is used to giving security reports in the state in every quarter. The Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs has been doing this for some time now, bringing on record the activities of bandits, the activities of communal clashes, reprisals, and other attacks. All of this summed up, in every quarter they try to assess the level of insecurity in the state by perhaps the number of persons killed, the number of animals rustled, the number of persons injured, and the amount of weapons recovered from gun runners. Because these activities are not carried out or about with woods. Where do they get this ammunition, firearms and ammunition from? We know Nigeria, like other parts of the world, is currently suffering from proliferation of small arms and light weapons. That has fueled insecurity so much in Nigeria. Kaduna is in the northwest of the north of Nigeria. The activities of banditry or bandits in the northwest has ravaged so much over time. But Kaduna has been a recipient of this activity, has suffered more than any other part of the northwest. When you look at Zamfara, okay? But the issue in Kaduna is not basically that carried out by bandits alone.
Okay.
That's why the commissioner also talked about communal clashes in the Kaduna South Senatorial District more, in places like the Zango Kataf local government area. And then they also talked about less of activities by bandits in the Kaduna South. But Kaduna Central really has suffered more. In 2022, last year, about this same period, January to March, they recorded about 360 deaths. But in 2023, they had about 217. It has dropped. Why? What is responsible? If the marching order given by Mr. President ended in December, and between October, November, and December, we had less of activities by terrorists and bandits. Why is that momentum not sustained by the security agents and the military? January to March, we had elections. We had the presidential election, we had the gubernatorial election. Ordinarily, security ought to have been beefed up, particularly in those areas that have really suffered insecurity. It is a bit better now, but we do not know what is going to happen next in the next quarters in Kaduna, specifically. Then El Rufai will not be there by the time the next report would have been reeled out in another 3 months, which will be about June or July. What is really the issue?
Yes.
The issue of communal clashes. Why has the government not been able to contain that?
It has raised up peace committees several times to addressing that matter.
It's not enough addressing it. I'm talking about containing it. Zango Kataf in Kaduna is known to have suffered a lot in terms of communal clashes. That is in Kaduna South. That is in Kaduna South. You remember in 2021, if you look at the whole activities of banditry and the issues of killing, people being maimed, and even animal being rustled, Kaduna State has suffered the most. Kaduna State houses a lot of military, senior military formations.
Absolutely.
Including the foremost military academy.
Yes.
In 2021, it was attacked. The Kaduna airport was also attacked. The corridor, the Kaduna-Abuja train corridor, we had a big blow for the first time in this country, where a lot of persons were taken when the Kaduna-bound train was attacked.
True.
All of this in Kaduna. Now, security agents have been able to understand that over time, Kaduna has been suffering from all of this. Is it enough setting up committees? Is it enough making suggestions and not really following up? Gun runners in this quarter, this first quarter also, the number of firearms and ammunition, AK-47 and this assault rifle recovered were about 70 or 70-something. Then other ammunitions also recovered. Pump actions were recovered. MPGs were recovered. These are firearms and ammunition that were recovered from gun runners. What? How did they get into Kaduna?
Right, that's the question. What makes Kaduna so accessible or porous to these persons beyond the communal clashes?
The same Kaduna is where these bandits also ravage, and they don't ravage without accessing small arms and light weapons.
Well, that raises a question. You have conventional weaponry. Nigeria's first, what do you call it, number one military formation is there. That's number one, what do you call it, brigade. I've forgotten what they call it.
Okay.
It's there, where you have a general manning it. You have the academy there. You have all of them there. Yeah. What is missing? Is it not intelligence? Because you can have all of this. If you don't have intelligence, it's like you have a very well-made ogbono soup, but you forgot to put salt.
I'm hearing this ogbono soup story again, the second time.
Yeah, really?
Yes.
The last time.
Maybe because you really like it.
No, the last time I was here, we talked about this ogbono soup. It's like it's your favorite.
Maybe it's because it's not my favorite. Anyway, you have ogbono soup without salt. You will always hate the food. So maybe if we have the bandits running riot, weapons moving around, you have communities clashing, you have southern Kaduna always on a boil. We had Francis Damina here speak last week about Southern Kaduna and all the problems they face. And how
But
people
sorry,
come
surprisingly, Kaduna Central suffers more than Kaduna South.
Yeah, but they make more noise about the Southern Kaduna than the
But
the
more
Central.
deaths
But
have
the
been
Central, more
recorded
correct
over
in the
time
Central.
is in the Central.
Because when they come,
Kidnapping,
you know why?
deaths,
You know why?
and all of that is more at the Central.
But you know why? You know why? In the Central, when they come, they come and the haul is much. But they can come like twice, and they can kill more than the attacks in the Southern Kaduna. Southern Kaduna, when they go there, they can come and kidnap one person. But if you go to Central, you can kidnap 20 at the same time. So they come and they make more haul in the Central. But the Southern Kaduna is where you have more a sense of insecurity. Okay. Anybody can come today and say, where is the uncle of that guy? Take him or kill him and then leave. They can just kill one person and go. Kill two people and go. And they seem to have a sense of who they are targeting in Southern Kaduna. That this is the person we want the auntie of that guy, the brother of that fellow, and so on. So they are more targeted and so on. But that gives, and when they take these people, they have places they take them to. Why don't you make arrests and then from that track them? I think the problem is a problem of intelligence. Because you can have all the weapons you have in this world. It's just like somebody who has all of the muscles. I remember in those days in high school, somebody was very muscular and was trying to fight the small guy. The small guy was just looking at him as the guy was coming. And all he needed was to look at his weak point and gave him a shot, a big one on the ribs. And you can see the heavy man as it was like Goliath.
Crashing down.
He almost cried. And well, look at this heavy man. Look at this small man has dealt with it. You know? So we need intelligence. We need to know where to go.
You're not far from the truth.
Have we invested enough in intelligence?
I think that is the right question. If we have actually invested enough in intelligence. Intelligence today in the world, globally, is no longer done more manually. It's the use of
technology. IT. Yes.
And Nigeria has been able to deploy the use of technology in the Northeast to gather intelligence. That is why, for instance, activities of the terrorists, Boko Haram and ISWAP, has dropped. Again, the fight, the struggle of supremacy between ISWAP and Boko Haram has also helped the Nigerian military and Nigerians. Because that war has made a lot of Boko Haram members drop arms. Because, of course, you know that Shekau was not really taken out by the Nigerian military.
They were taken out by the foreigners who came
by
to our
ISWAP.
land.
It was ISWAP.
Yes.
Because I think one story said he actually detonated the vest he was wearing and the IED because he didn't want to be captured or he didn't accept the terms given to him by ISWAP. That has helped us so well in the Northeast. But in the Northwest, what we have is more of the activities of the bandits. Kaduna, specifically, being a part of the Northwest, has had its own fair share of communal problems and reprisals. Don't forget that the commissioner also mentioned reprisals. Okay, Kaduna has suffered all of that even before the advent of banditry in Kaduna State. Intelligence, yes. Do we really have the gadgets enough monitoring or gathering intelligence for surveillance and all of that? IT now we are talking about. In Kaduna, specifically planted to contain the activities of these persons in Kaduna. Again, you must understand that every formation, every organization, in terms of the paramilitary and the military, They all have their intelligence departments. The Army has, the Navy has, the Air Force has, the Nigerian police has, the DSS, we know primarily that is their responsibility as a secret police. All of them, they all have, and they are all in Kaduna. But we must give it also to these persons. They are no fools. I said this in another television station. In the past, we used to say, if you look at the caliber of persons arrested, talking about the terrorists now or the bandits, they are all terrorists now. Some will be lost in that thinking to say, but these persons who can perhaps not even speak English, would they be able, how are they able to understand their hits? Of course, you know they are into guerrilla warfare. How do they understand their hits? We have forgotten that these persons, these organizations, these groups also have their intelligence departments.
Counterintelligence.
They don't just go hit a target. When they went to Kuje, we saw what happened. Kuje houses a lot of these persons that were arrested, leaders, in the seat of power, in Abuja. But they succeeded. They did not just go there, they preached, brought out people and preached to them. They were not in a hurry. What happened? It was after that incident we saw the weakness or weaknesses that were present in the Kuje prisons around around that area. Have we been able to set up backup formations close to sensitive areas?
Do we have the capacity to do so?
We have more than that capacity to do so. We have more than that. We have more than that. And that is why, like I was discussing with somebody outside before I came into the studio, one of the things that was running through my mind was the president-elect. Next month, he'll be sworn in. I know one of the things that will be bothering him now is insecurity. He's an expert when it comes to economy. What about security? In his campaign.
In Lagos, you know. Lagos.
No, I'm coming to that. During his campaign, he did say he was going to handle the economy himself. But that for security, his vice was going to take charge of that. But I had to run through how he managed security in Lagos when he was governor. I was able to also discover that there's a template that he has left for Lagos to manage security. And that brought about the security fund. And then recently, I did an analysis in one other television station where we talked about security votes and how had they been put to use.
Right.
The president-elect was able to manage security in Lagos, although he inherited security plan that was put in place by the military, the Millard that was there before him, where we had the Operation Sweep and all of that. He did not deviate from that, but he built on it. And Lagos was calm. And so I was looking at how he's going to carry on that mentality into managing security in Nigeria. His vice president is somebody who has been at the middle of theater.
Yeah.
And so, but one of the states that has really given a lot of problem in terms of insecurity, aside from the Northeast, in the Northwest is Kaduna State.
Don't forget
where his friend and brother is.
Don't forget Niger.
Niger has not recorded what Kaduna has recorded.
I know, but Niger, Zamfara have become terrible. You know the story of even Zamfara. They have restored the monarch that gallanded a bandit with was it a traditional title?
Yes.
That was in Zamfara.
Restored in Zamfara State.
Yes. That was in Zamfara.
That's a disgrace. So that leads me to the next question. Do we have civic readiness? Because we talk about security, we talk of the army, we talk of the police. What of citizen participation in information gathering?
We lost that a long time ago. I was in the Northwest. I covered. I flew to Kebbi. From Kebbi, I moved to Sokoto State. From Sokoto, I went to Katsina. I was drafted back to Zamfara State to cover up for some people who ran away. And then from Zamfara, we went to Kaduna under the Presidential Committee of Small Arms and Light Weapons, PRESCOM.
Yes.
Where we had meetings with security agents and the military. The people are not ready anymore to give information because these bodies I mentioned have also been infiltrated. Jonathan at the time did say, when he was president, that his government had been infiltrated.
Yes.
I have said this, I am sounding like a broken record here again now. When I mentioned what happened early last year, where the DSS gave a security report, proactive security report, about somebody who was coming to hit Abuja in January.
Yes.
Synergy. That they had done their own bit. And then the next bit was for another paramilitary body, the NIS. But within the NIS, from their internal memo, the matter was leaked. The DSS did a good job. I'm sounding like a broken record referring to that again. Now, if the president at the time in this country did say that his government had been infiltrated by these persons, a lot of powerful persons are pushing people into employment of some of these places. Referrals, references. Why? Some of them are monitoring information that are going on in your organization and giving back to them. Have we been able to sanitize and purge out these people? It's a difficult job to do.
Right.
The citizens today are willing to give information, but what has happened to those who gave information?
Attacks.
In Zamfara State, in Borno State, we have had situations where farmers were slaughtered.
Yes.
Massively. What was the excuse or reason given by the terrorists for slaughtering those people? They said they gave out information to the military. Yeah. And the military used that information against them. How did the terrorists know that it was the farmers who gave those information to the military?
It was the military.
I'm answering your question, sir.
Yes.
That is just an instance that is empirical. We have also had, let's bring it back home to smaller issues, where information were given to the Nigerian police by an informant, and arrests were made by a high and mighty. And the first thing they want to know is, who gave out information about me? And they are willing to pay any amount. And what do you get at the end of the day? The man is sleeping in his house quietly. He has done his bits. Perhaps there was ransom to be collected. Then another thing has happened.
So what would it...
Why do people not... 1 second, please. Why do people no longer want to go to court to stand as witnesses against the high and mighty?
Because they will come after them. We don't have witness protection program.
We do not have all of that. Instead, we have witness selling program. So some of the things we try to discuss with these persons when we meet with them to, train them in certain areas is how to protect the interest of your informant. You cannot do it all. You cannot be everywhere. You do not have the manpower. You do not have enough IT gadgets to cover some areas for you, particularly the border areas where you have gun runners, where you have drug barons using, the land borders. I've taught them about modern techniques of arms smuggling. I've also talked to them about modern techniques in drugs smuggling. These people are ready to take out anybody who will give them away. And they are ready to pay any amount to get that information. Now, Nigerians, from the experiences of others, are a bit skeptical, assisting, but yet we call upon them at all times to say, you must do it. These persons cannot do it alone. We need all of that. But don't forget that as much as you need to do that, you also want to consider the protection of your life and property and those of your family members.
Yes. Absolutely.
Because in most times, we have seen situations where they even wiped out a whole family.
Yeah.
Because one person in that family gave out information concerning them. And we cannot achieve so much or too much when we don't have members of the public giving out information that will help the security agents to do their jobs.
How then do we strike a balance? Sanitizing the system and also encouraging the
It's an uphill task.
Right. We'll talk about that when we return after this commercial break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We're still talking insecurity with a focus on Kaduna State, and we still have our guest in the studio, a security consultant, Darlington Moro. Before we went on the break, I was asking about how we need to strike a balance between sanitizing the system and civic participation. Yes, you said it's an uphill task, but it is something we need to do if we need to move forward from where we are now.
Well, that task is no longer, I do not think the government in the sitting government, now the incumbent government, will have to, or can do anything about that at the moment. The incoming government should be thinking about how to strike that balance. It's a wonderful one if they are able to achieve it. If it's achievable, but you need a reorientation around the circle of security. You need a whole lot of reorientation. You need to talk with the people. Where is National Orientation Agency? I've not been hearing from them.
They say they're underfunded. They don't have money other than the money they spend on salaries and so on. They don't have money for any other work.
Then it should be shut down.
Yeah, shut down, or yes, equip them with enough money.
Why do they exist only in collecting salary and not doing any job?
It's amazing.
It's waste of fund. Shut it down. If you cannot fund them to run or do carry out their official activities, why just put them there to sit like you have in some places in this country where people don't even go to offices except when they are ready to collect salaries? Some local governments are not meant to be particularly in the north. Forgive my choice of words. If you go to those places, in most times, you hardly will find anybody. But go there towards the end of the north. It's not only
in the north. I know of some local government in the south here, local government chairman who live in Lagos.
All right.
We're not talking about the chairman now.
Time, gentlemen, we need to focus on the issues for want of time because we'll soon be we'll soon be wrapping up this conversation. So beyond reorientation, what next?
Beyond the reorientation is what will actually inject confidence in the people and the security agents. At a point in time, weaponry was a challenge to the military. We saw in another administration where Nigerian soldiers, what terminology did they use? They said tactical withdrawal, where they had to be led back into the country. Because even when they left the border of Nigeria into another country, they didn't know. But they were led back into the country by the military of another country. But today it's no longer the same thing. Today we have weaponry. We have equipment that the government is spending monies on, and they are seeing them delivered. It is in this government we saw the delivery of the Tucanos. It is in this government we have seen delivery of equipment that the military is using. Today, the NDA is not teaching guerrilla warfare as against the conventional warfare that the Nigerian military was used to. And then they used against the terrorists initially. But this government has been able to inject into the curriculum of the Nigerian Defense Academy, where officers and commanders are trained. And they are being taught about guerrilla warfare. The last graduates of from the NDA, they had to visit some states, carrying out practicals on guerrilla warfare. These are all areas of trying to strike the balance that many of these military bodies are trying to put together. It's a whole lot, but the most important is, like he said initially, intelligence gathering. Battles are fought 50% by intelligence. Because if you don't have intelligence, you cannot be proactive. You cannot. Intelligence is information plus analysis. But you must be able to gather those information first. When terrorism started in Nigeria, we had a lot of things in Nigerian military. The Nigerian military suffered a huge blow. Ambushing was serious. Planting of mines was serious. But today we do no longer have all of that because they've been able to see and then have been able to checkmate most of that. The issue of ambush, I've also said this here. How would you gather information to ambush the movement of the military if you do not have somebody, an insider, who gave out information? A very serious equipment handler and trainer in the Nigerian army was caught.
Yes.
Last year, what happened to the situation we had last year where some of the kingpins were on the run? This same last year we were talking about, after the Kuje incident, the army went after them furiously, and some of them were on the run.
And are still on the run.
Are they still on the run?
Yes. If they are not on the run, then they would have been taken.
But they have been attacking. It means that they have somewhere they can run. Before, you cannot attack and be on the run at the same time.
You are talking about a terrorist group that will always regroup and recruit commanders.
You are not on the run, because if you are on the run, you won't have time and the presence of mind to say, okay, now
we can regroup.
We cannot regroup. Now go and attack that place.
You are talking about kingpins.
The kingpins are talking about, yes.
Yes, you are talking about the kingpins.
Yes.
And you also understand that even the head of each group, each time they are taken out, they are replaced.
But they're not taking out. They're not taking out some of the big names now.
If those ones are on the run, then they are still serving from their hideout.
That means they're not really on the run.
We have also discussed in this studio.
They have already strategized. They're not on the run.
We have also discussed in this studio how somebody in the prisons, in the correctional center, arranged armed robbery incident.
Yes.
Arranged from inside the prisons, where he's not supposed to be entitled to telephone. How did he do it? We treated that story here. Now you are talking about a terrorist kingpin who has all the places he could hide.
Then it's not run. It's not on the run.
It's on the run.
It's not on the run. What you're on the run? No, it's not. It's just running. It's running against us. Well, we are not. It's not. It's a reverse. It's a reverse situation. You are on the run and you are killing me. I'm the one on the run.
I just told you that somebody who has been reprimanded, somebody who is in the prison's custody.
Yes.
Organizing.
He's not in prison custody.
Organizing crime.
He only appears to be in prison custody.
Organizing criminal activities. Outside the prison.
Who is in prison?
In control.
Who is in prison?
Now we are talking about somebody who has not even been arrested.
Yeah.
Who is there? You say he's not on the run.
He's not on the run.
And then you are surprised that because
he's just a gun runner.
Oh my goodness. And then you are talking about somebody who has not been arrested, who is there, who has been declared wanted, and they are going after him. And then you think if he's on the run, it will not be. If somebody within the walls of a correctional center.
Right.
One happened recently in Abeokuta where they duped somebody, he organized it from the prisons.
I mean, he has infrastructure. He's he's operating from his office.
So the kingpins...
He's operating from his office, not in prison.
The kingpins, do they not have infrastructure?
Yes, now.
Thank you.
The infrastructure is still intact.
We need to let him go now.
So the president-elect and his team, I think they have a very...
huge task ahead of them.
Particularly when it comes to security, and I know that from what the president-elect has done before in Lagos, and then with his vice, I think they'll be able to
Darlington Umoru, security consultant, thank you for your time on the program.
And thank you too for tolerating me.